Hey, so you're in business and you know that in order to really take your business to the level that you want to take it, that it takes investment, right? So I want to share with you exactly how to maximize your return on your investments today. This is super important. We're talking about your money, and your business is one of the best investments that you've already made. In fact, I was just seeing a video come across Facebook not too long ago where it was talking about a lot of people think that the wealthiest people in the world generated their wealth from real estate. And that's actually not true. The wealthiest people in the world became wealthy because they have a business. They have a business that serves the world, and they've monetized that business in a way that's generated wealth for them. And then what they do with that wealth is then they keep their wealth, or they store their wealth in real estate. So it's not real estate that's helping people generate wealth that makes a difference in the world. It's business, and you are all in business. So I want to talk about how to maximize the return on your business investments, because it is by far the most impactful way that you can truly use your money. And I know I talked about a couple weeks back when I revealed The Wealthy Minimalist, our new company, our new brand, that we can create a wealth tornado. So we start to make investments in our business that allows us to then share our message with more people, make a greater impact, use the money that's coming into our lives in a way that really fuels our values and the things that are most important to us, so we can live a fully expressed and experienced life. So this investment conversation is a biggie. So I'm going to be diving in here. We're going to be talking about the 6 types of investments that you're always playing with when it comes to growing your business. We're going to talk about the number one thing that actually determines whether or not that investment was a good investment for your business, and it is not what you think it's going to be. We're going to talk about using your intuition and how to really use that as the way to make the best decisions for your business, to be able to grow and do what you're here to do. And then I'm going to share the 5 unconventional ways to really maximize your profits and your return on investment in your business. And these are ways that aren't what you think they are. All right. So excited to have you all here as always. And again, we're going to be talking money, because this is a big one. It takes money to grow our businesses. There's no question about that. We cannot do it without investing money, energy, and money resources into our business. So I want to talk about the best investments to make and why to make them and when to make them, and how to ensure that you're making the investments that are truly going to get you the biggest returns on your investment. Okay. So let's dive in. So one of the things that I do is I think about the things that I'm hearing as I'm out and about, and as I'm working with my clients, and as I'm participating in my own masterminds. I think, what's really going to serve my audience? Like, what would really help them take things to the next level, increase their wealth consciousness, increase their ability to get more business, to do what they're here to do, to live in their zone of genius. So as I was asking myself that question last week, interestingly enough, this is how this topic came to be. I was in mastermind with 2 amazing women. We mastermind every single week just to support each other and hold each other's big visions and create a safe space to grow our businesses. Super powerful. We started talking about, because all 3 of us run very successful businesses, and all 3 of us were talking about the investments we had made and how much money we've poured into our businesses. And each of us were also looking at making additional investments. And we started having this conversation. And what we realized was that there were times that we made really huge investments, and those investments left us feeling disappointed. And then there were other times where we made investments and they were like the best investments we had ever made. And we could easily see how our businesses grew as a result of them. And so we really, through that discussion, between the 3 of us, have invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in our 3 businesses, uncovered what made all the difference. And so that's what I want to share with you, because as we were processing through that, we realized people don't know this. We've experienced this, and we can help save people the heartache and the disappointment that can come from making the wrong investments, and also help people make the right investments that are going to have the biggest impact in growing their businesses. So that's what we're going to be diving into. So first and foremost, I want to just break down the 6 investments that you're going to be exploring making throughout your business and at different stages in your business, and the highest vibrational intention behind those different investments. So that's where we're going to start. So the 6 primary types of investments. So most of you are coaches. And so, of course, one of the first investments that we typically make in our businesses is coaching. We are looking for support, accountability, a partner in crime to hold our big vision, to hold us accountable, to support us in breaking through the things that are blocking us from accomplishing our big visions, right? So the first big thing that we make investments in is coaching. Now, that said, there is a time and a place for coaching. For the longest time, I felt and believed I would always have a coach because, of course, the power of coaching is incredible. Interestingly enough, about the time I thought I would always have a coach, in fact, for the last 7 years, I've always had 2 coaches at once. For the first time in my business, I actually currently don't have a coach that I've hired. And there's some very specific reasons for that. So right now, in these moments, I'm not feeling blocks that need to be broken through. So I'm not feeling the need to have somebody hold me accountable. I also have this vision that's pulling me forward. Like accountability has become completely irrelevant. It's more like, whoa, slow the horse down as opposed to holding me accountable to take action. I'm having no problem taking action. The purpose for a coach at this moment in my business is not the best way for me to invest my money. Now, it's the thing is being clear, like when you need what and why you need it, right? So it's saying, I'm not just going to have a coach to have a coach. There has to be a very intentional reason and purpose for the investment. And that's for all these investments. So it's thinking through, how would a coach serve me and what type of coach would serve me most powerfully right now? And if you can't answer those 2 questions, then maybe that's not the best investment in your business in this moment. Right? And it's always going to change and shift. So considering the resources you have, it's always playing with, and the investments you want to make, it's playing with where you want to land that money. Where's the best investment for you in any given moment? Now, if you're newer in business and you're trying to just figure things out, or you feel like you're struggling consistently, or you feel like you can tell you're getting in your own way, or you can tell that there's information that maybe a coach or a mentor has that could shortcut your process, or maybe it's some specific things that coaching could really help you shortcut and get there quickly, then that would be the first investment you would want to make, because these other investments that I share are almost irrelevant if we don't get out of our own way first and foremost. So the second investment that we will be making in our businesses regularly, and most of you have already made these investments in your website, in your hosting your website, in maybe an email marketing service like MailChimp or ConvertKit, which was my favorite, is these investments in tools and software. So ultimately, when we start thinking about what to invest in when it comes to tools and software, again, it all boils down to intentionality. So what purpose do you want to serve? How does it align with your values? How does it free up your time and automate things and make things more efficient so that you can then focus your time on doing the things that you love, like serving your clients without having to get all stuck in tech stuff? Although a lot of times the purchase of these software tools gets us stuck in tech stuff until we figure it out, until we get that learning curve down. So when you think about the tools that you have for your business, there's really, let me think here, 3 tools. Because this has shifted a little bit, because even some of my automatic scheduling I've pulled away from because one of my values is high touch. So automatic calendar links, sometimes I love to use them and sometimes I don't, depending on the circumstance. But the 3 tools that have single-handedly built my business, that if you're investing in tools, these are the 3 tools I would say that even surpass your website, are software that helps you build out landing pages, which is basically what you use to collect email addresses and build your list. So I use Lead Pages for that. I love Lead Pages. It's been single-handedly responsible for the growth of my business, not my website, and it's way cheaper than a website. So Lead Pages, a way to collect leads. The second thing is your email marketing service provider. Again, this is where you're building your list. And as you're building your list and building that audience, you want a way to be able to nurture and continue to grow and build that audience. So an email marketing service provider, again, like MailChimp or ConvertKit or Aweber. ConvertKit's my favorite. Super reasonable and able to grow with your business with tons of automation. And then the third tool is, and I've got a lot more tools, obviously, like I have Be Live here, but the third tool that was a must-have for me was a webinar or an online meeting service. So now I use Zoom. And so it's a way for me to teach online. It's a way for me to connect with my clients online, face-to-face. So those are the 3 tools that, to me, I would invest in. I wouldn't be able to run my business without. And the best part about this investment in your business, is that I think Lead Pages is, I don't know, $37 a month, Zoom's dollars a month, and email marketing with a brand new list is like $9. It's like under $50 a month. Isn't that crazy? Under $50 a month to pretty much run and automate a big part of your business. Claudia, email marketing service. So this is where you can send out bulk emails. So it's basically when you create something valuable for your audience that they opt in for, they give you their name and their email address. They're stored in the email marketing in a list. So then, like many of you probably received an email about this training today, right? So then you create the email once and it sends it to the whole list. And then you can segment the list so you can send the right message to the right people at the right time so that people who aren't interested in what you're sharing aren't getting an email. So it just automates and makes it way easier to be able to send one email to an entire list as you're sharing more valuable content and growing your business. Okay, so the next type of investment this is my biggest investment right now. I am loving this. Stacy, let me answer your question quick here. But we need a lead capture, correct? So the lead pages is what I use to actually create an opt-in page, right? So a freebie can be, and actually, I'm just gonna throw this out there really quick, as far as using these tech tools and building this list, which is really important. A freebie, the easier, the simpler, the better. Seriously, people overthink this. The only freebies that I'm opting in for right now are essentially Excel spreadsheets where they're like, I have an Excel spreadsheet of the top 50 places for public speaking. And it's like super usable, just really quick checklists. Whatever you're creating for a freebie, it should be consumed in less than 2 minutes. You don't want to create a big ebook or a big document. So as far as a freebie, you're just creating something of high value that your audience is hungry for. And that's what's the thing that actually then builds this list. So once you've created the freebie, you need a place for them to raise their hand and say, yes, I want it. And that's where a software like Lead Pages works, is you have just a really quick page that says, here, I have this free checklist. If you want it, enter your name and email below. You guys have all seen them. I'm sure you've probably opted into many lists. And then your email marketing service provider actually delivers that freebie then, because then you can just send that to them directly with an email instantaneously as soon as they enter their name and email. So those are those two services. Yeah, Lornette, it can get tricky. So be patient with yourself and actually just have fun with it. So that's what I love about Lead Pages is everything's already designed. So you don't need to know anything about design. They've already tested everything. So they have the highest converted pages and they have it down to the color of the button, the fonts that they're using. So you literally just plug and play. Sometimes I think people overcomplicate it because they're like, oh, I don't like the way this looks. I want to make it look different. It's just don't. Like seriously, just use their template as created because it works. They've already done all the testing for us. So that's why else I love Lead Pages is it's a huge time saver. So leadpages.net is the service that I use. Okay, so those are the first two things. We just talked about the top 3 tools and software that I invested in right at the start of my business that still are a pivotal part of my business. The third thing that we invest in that I'm really investing in right now that I'm like so excited about is done for you services. So the purpose behind done for you services, and this was something in complete transparency that took me forever to invest in because I was like, I can just do it. I'm a fast learner. I can figure it out. I can do it myself. And also maybe a little bit of a control freak. And at that stage of my business, probably a little cheap. But I'm telling you, this has been a lifesaver for me. And it all started 2 years ago when we were remodeling our home. And I decided to hire a designer. And when you think about done for you services, they're actually way less expensive than you probably even imagine that they are. So the first done for you service, aside from like a house cleaner that I hired, was a designer for my home. I don't have an eye for design. Picking out paint takes me hours. And then I pick out paint and I hate what I see on the wall. And so then I have to repaint. It's like such a time suck for me. So I hired a designer. It was like $50 an hour. And so for $300, I had every single paint color, the countertops, everything picked out. I didn't even have to think about it. So I was like, whoa, this done for you services thing is really cool. It's just saved me like half my summer trying to figure this stuff out and all this frustration and then being frustrated and not working. So done for you services allows you, the intention behind this is, and I've talked about this in other trainings, when you relentlessly play in your zone of genius, your deepest gifts and talents, you become a manifesting machine. You become a wealth machine because you were divinely designed to do the things that you love doing. And when we start doing everything on our own, we take away the time to be in our zone of genius. So there's a zone of excellence, which I spent so much time in. I was like, oh, I can do this. I can figure it out. And I can be really excellent at it. I built all my own pages, built all my own funnels, did all my own ads. I self-taught everything. But it was taking me away from doing things like this, teaching, coaching, connecting, speaking, facilitating. I was stuck behind my computer doing things that were not my zone of genius. So done for you services. So this can be as small as, there's a fantastic, I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, it's called Fiverr. I say it's like Target. You walk in for one thing and you walk out with 10 extra things in your cart. Fiverr is like $5 gigs, extremely reasonable gigs. Need a logo? $5. Need a tagline? $10. Need a little tech thing connected? $5. I just actually hired somebody to write for me. It was like $25 to write 10 or 15 articles. It was like, okay, great. And then I could just edit it and bring my own voice and flair into it without having to start it and write from scratch, because writing wasn't my zone of genius. The funniest gig, I'm telling you, this is when I say it's like Target. We used Fiverr 2 years ago. We were surprising our kids at Christmas with a trip to Disney World. And we found a guy who could sound just like Mickey Mouse. So I wrote the script, and on Christmas morning, our kids got a message from Mickey Mouse. They're all customized with their names, saying how excited Mickey was that they were coming to visit him at Disney World. Seriously, like the stuff you can come up with. If you think about things you want to wow your clients with, or maybe it's messages you want to send for birthdays, or like Fiverr.com, an awesome thing just done for you services. So just get used to delegating some of those things that can take a lot of time. Designing your freebie. Let's say you create a checklist, and now it's like the design aspect. And you're like, I don't know. I don't really have an eye for this. That's not my zone of genius. Go to Fiverr. I've had people design my freebies, again, $10. They'll design, that was when I was like writing big ebooks that just aren't effective anymore. They'll design them for like nothing. And you just send them your content and they turn it into this beautifully designed document, right? So that's a great done for you service. Now, then the next level is, and this is what I said is really huge in my business right now, is I've retained a copywriter. So she's like just so amazing. I've never trusted anybody to be able to really step into my voice and understand what I'm trying to share, but she just gets it. She's intuitive and she's deep, and this higher coach and this higher wisdom is just like, we're clicking. So all of a sudden now I have somebody who is going to help me with that writing piece that I would spend hours doing. I hired a brander and a website developer. Those are big things. I don't know how many of you have website shame or have been working on your website forever or whatever it may be. It's goodness, it's amazing, like the relief and the support that you feel when you get those A+ team members on your team. And so these done for you services, super, super helpful and impactful. And if you're thinking like, oh, I'll do that when I can afford it, or I'll do that when my business is a little bit further along. This is a little bit of the chicken or the egg, right? What comes first, the chicken or the egg? Or when I make money, then I'll invest in the coach. Or when I make more money, or when my business is at a certain level, then I'll hire out all that stuff. And it's, man, if there's one thing I've learned through a lot of bruising and scraping my knees through this entrepreneurial journey, it's wow, when we ruthlessly play in our zone of genius and truly do only the things that fuel us, that are fun, that are exciting, our businesses become effortless, and the wealth and the clients come much more effortlessly. So it takes trust. Of course, it's scary to make some of these investments, but at the end of the day, if you're investing from a place of knowing that it allows you to share and use your gifts in a more impactful way, it always comes back. It always comes back. So done for you services, huge fan. In fact, now I think sometimes it almost enables me. Now I'm like, don't trust myself to pick out paint for any room in my house. I'm like, I'm just going to call the designer. Okay, the fourth thing, administrative support. So this is huge too. This is going to be the first thing that you would probably be outsourcing and delegating. So it's starting to think about, and one of the ways that you can uncover, really be intentional with your time. Time's your only non-renewable resource. So I'll even ask you guys, if you were to outsource one thing that you know is taking up time and keeping you from doing the things that you really just love doing, what's the first thing that you would love to delegate to a support person, to an administrative role that you could just get off your plate, that they would just handle it? What would that thing be? Because that is the first thing. And you can find support to help you do those things. If you don't love attention to detail, find somebody else who does love attention to detail. If you were to truly track your time and make a list of everything that you do, like just do it for a week. And once you have that list, check it out and see what are the things that you can let go of that aren't crucial, that aren't aligned with your values and what you love to do, and aren't crucial to your brand, that you can let go of, that you can delegate. And you know what? What's really wild about some of this stuff is also being able to clarify, how important is this to me and my brand? I'm going to be talking about this, but I bought a course on how to build your Facebook page organically with very limited ad spend to build a massive audience. And all of a sudden I realized, you know what? I haven't needed to post 4 times a day on my page to have my business reach the level it's reached. So what makes me think I need to keep posting every day? And so it's 1, delegate it, or 2, just to be even crystal clear, like, how is this really growing my business? Or what's the faster path to grow my business? Because of some of these activities that aren't revenue generating activities, maybe it's either they need to be delegated or they just need to be deleted completely, right? So it's assessing some of that stuff. For email, for example, for the longest time, I had an assistant who would help me manage on my email. And I would have 50 to 100 new messages every single day because I'd opted into so many lists. And it would take her a long time to sort through all of that. All of a sudden it was like, I can keep delegating that. Otherwise, I can just unsubscribe from these 500 lists. And now my emails, when I wake up in the morning, I have 2 or 3 emails a day. It's easy. So I deleted and delegated. So what can you delete and what can you delegate? Okay, so the next thing is investments in marketing and visibility. This is super important because this is, again, where I see a lot of entrepreneurs shortchange themselves. So let me just share an example, because one thing I was really intentional about when I started my business was I knew I was going to be networking, right? I was going to attend networking events. And I played around with this a little bit. I would go to meetups, for example, and they would be completely free. I could go to 5 a week if I wanted to. So that was one option, right? And then there was also these really high-end networking events where it was a significant investment to be a part of that networking group, hundreds of dollars up front and a monthly fee. And in one sense, it'd be like, I would just go to the meetups. And why don't I just do that? And there's people at both places. Like, why am I going to pay to meet people? But this is where, again, we have to see the bigger picture about the investments that we're making. If I'm a business coach and I want to serve entrepreneurs who are serious about their businesses, those that are paying to attend a networking event are probably more serious and more willing and likely to also invest in other services for their businesses than those that are being willy-nilly and just attending free meetings and shooting the shit. Now, I'm not saying that from a place of judgment. I'm just saying, where do we hold ourselves back because of money and investments, where we are more willing to invest time that doesn't actually get us the results that we're looking for than the money that can fast track it? And so this is all about our wealth consciousness and our relationship with money, which I've done a lot of other trainings for you guys on, and I'm going to keep doing that because that's really the crux of the wealthy minimalist movement, is how to increase our wealth consciousness and generate more wealth so that we can live a juicy life while simultaneously changing the world, because it takes wealth to truly change the world when we transfer more wealth to conscious entrepreneurs like you. So again, being strategic. So for me also, that was investing in Facebook ads. That's a marketing and visibility investment, because while I could just keep throwing stuff out and try to have an organic reach, great. I'm like throwing spaghetti at the wall and my great aunt is seeing it and my drunk cousin is seeing it. Or I can put a few bucks behind an ad and put it directly in front of the eyes of the people I want to receive this message. So again, it's like being strategic and thoughtful and intentional with these investments. So Asia, great question. Where should we look for those types of networking events? So I'll let you know, then the event that I really invested in was eWomen Network. Super powerful, amazing networking group. Another networking group, your Chamber of Commerce or Business Networking International. Those are both higher investment networking events. There's a group called Master Networks. That's a higher investment, ongoing investment networking event. There is, this is the most impactful place to network, events. So if you see a conference, it's like seeing the big picture. You don't have to go to conferences to even soak in the content. Go to the conference to network. So maybe you pay a couple $100 to attend a conference or an event, and the sole purpose is to network because people invested to be there, right? Yeah, so events are huge. I've invested in big high-end programs, not because I wanted the program, but because I knew that my services would complement what that program was offering these entrepreneurs. And then I could network and I could connect and I could be of service and build relationships in that way. So again, get creative. Where are your people investing? And see the bigger picture that everybody else is investing to learn from the person on stage or to learn from the person selling the course. For example, if there's a little $200 course with a Facebook group that goes along with the course, buy the $200 course, and now you're in with people who have already started investing in something that's similar to what you're offering or complementary to what you're offering, and start building those relationships and start connecting. Isn't that fun? So cool. So just getting outside of the box and thinking about really how we're using our resources of time and money. And again, evaluating your own values around this, because for me, I was very intentional the moment I started my business that I have 2 young kids. The most important thing in the world for me is not missing out in those beautiful moments with my family. I get emotional just thinking about this. And so my choice was always, I would spend the money to save myself time. And I would sit on debt until I was blue in the face, because it's just a number in a computer, over being up all night working on something instead of putting my kids to bed, or over being on my computer up until dinner time, or whatever it may be. Everybody's going to make their own conscious choices, but it amazes me how much freedom we sacrifice in the pursuit of freedom, or how much money we don't invest in the pursuit of generating money. I just watch us have it so backwards. And that's partially why I'm doing this training. Okay, the final thing that we invest in is courses and learning. So I just want to say one thing about this. And again, it all boils down to being intentional. So let's say you go to a webinar and it's, oh, there's a course on XYZ, and oh, that's going to help me grow my business. To me, being intentional and investing in courses, what I've learned is that I now know what information I need to take the next steps in my business, and I find the courses to take those steps. We're inundated with messages all the time, right? Do this, do that. This will help you be successful. That's the magic bullet. That's the secret sauce. If the message comes to me and I'm curious about it, and then all of a sudden I get sucked into it, but it pulls me off the track that I was already intuitively on, and I buy that course, that's not going to get a return on my investment. It's actually a distraction from the path that I was already on. So to me, it's just being really intentional. What is the opportunity cost of this course? If I start going down this path, what paths am I going to start neglecting? What paths am I going to neglect that are already working? What paths am I going to neglect that I'm already pretty far along, and now I'm starting from scratch on this path with this course, right? So it's just being really intentional. And this is, again, I'm on a mission to eradicate some of these manipulative marketing and sales tactics. How much time limiters are put on? It goes up in 2 hours, or if you don't decide in 1 day, or forget it. If you really want the course, it's still worth the additional price. So it's better to just be able to intuit. You'll lose all the money if you don't take the time and the space to connect in and tune in and get crystal clear about what purpose the course is going to serve. So there's my 2 cents on that. Like, don't get sucked into, and really, this is just how a lot of entrepreneurs have been taught to grow their business. And I've done it. I'm guilty of it too. And does it work? It does work. But to me, it doesn't feel in alignment. It feels like I'm overpowering or manipulating people who are fully able to make their choices without that manipulation. So just know that stuff is designed to tap into a deep psychological need. And while it's brilliant, it can undermine our intuition and the deeper call of what we want to learn. Yes, Stacy. Feels manipulative and fear-based. You start feeling that urgency, or that, I call it graspy, where you're just like, I gotta have this, I gotta do it now. And if you're not given the time and space to truly make a conscious decision, then the decision is no. And once the conscious decision is made, I promise you, it's gonna come back. That same course, that the price is gonna go up. Guess what? They're gonna do the same launch in 6 months. It's gonna be there at the same price. Just some of the silly tactics that are being used right now. Okay, so all of these investments, at the end of the day, it boils down to one thing. One thing determines your return on investment: the intention behind the money before you spend it. That money, every dollar, is fueled with intention. And it's the intention that determines what happens with that dollar and how it flows into your business and how it flows back to your business. So if you are investing from a place of fear or lack or not enoughness, or this is like the mic drop moment that we had in our mastermind last week. If you are investing from a place of not being enough, not knowing enough, a place of fear, a place of lack, that money fizzles, and it's very hard to get a return on that investment. If you are investing from a place of excitement, of opportunity, of seeing the big picture, of fun, of alignment, of connection, of intuition, just a calling. This holds something for me. I don't know what it is. This holds a piece to my puzzle. It's calling me. Every dollar that is invested from a higher vibration intention must multiply. It's expansive. So just like energy, it's constrictive or expansive. The same is true with money. So being so intentional with the investments that you're making, that they're truly coming, it takes discernment, but that it truly is coming from a place of opportunity, of excitement, of fun, of joy, where it's almost as though it's a win before you've even taken the course. So for me, how I've known this to be happening is that when I've made investments from that place, I've gotten the return on that investment because of the energy behind it before I even got the full thing I invested in. It is never the thing that you buy, the coach that you hire, that gives you the return on your investment. No matter how good we are as coaches, we don't create the return on investment. The energy behind the money creates the return on investment. So I want to flip this piece on its head too, because as coaches, as service providers, as entrepreneurs, as consultants, this is something that I spend a lot of time with in my sales process of ensuring that the clients who say yes to me are saying yes from a high vibrational intention place. There might still be fear there, right? It still overlaps a little bit, but at its core, I want to feel into the energy. Because if there's any fear, lack, scarcity, thinking I'm their savior, it's not going to work. It doesn't matter what I do or what they do, because we've already formed this relationship and this partnership from a place of fear. And so when I say in your own sales process, our only job is to help our clients make a conscious choice from the highest vibration that they can make that choice. And so if you're working with pain in the ass clients, or if you're working with people that aren't in alignment, or I'm guessing that you said yes to somebody who also said yes from an out of alignment place. And so that's just a clue that we were out of alignment when we formed this partnership. Intention is everything. So if you infuse your money, and this isn't just for your business, this is everything. If you infuse your money with high vibration intention, it must expand. It's what money wants to do. Money wants to grow. Everything wants to grow. We want to grow. Money wants to grow. And how we help it grow, and how we help it come back, and how we help it multiply is by infusing it with high vibration intention. Okay, can you look back and see when you've made investments, and when you can think back to the investments, you're like, that was the best investment I ever made. Go all the way back. Think about the intention that you had when you made the investment. Think about that. Did the difference that it made. Think about the investments that you felt were a waste of money, and go back and think about what was the intention when you made the investment. Was it a place of fear? I got to do this or else. I have to, or I should, or I'm not going to get anywhere without it. Okay, so let's dive into the 5 unconventional ways to increase your ROI and your profits. So we've talked about the 6 things you're going to be investing in. We talked about what determines what happens with that investment before you even receive the thing you're investing in. Now let's talk about the 5 unconventional ways to expand your profits, to explode your profits, explode your ROI. Number 1, this is my favorite little analogy right now. I'm using it like every single day because to me it just like clicks. Small hinges swing big doors. So what I mean by that is, if you think about these big bank vault doors that are like hundreds of pounds, it's just some small hinges that actually swing those big doors. So with the investments that you're making, when you make them intentionally, the smallest hinge can create a ripple effect of profit, of return on investment. And so thinking about what are the small hinges, and for me, the small hinge that swings big doors is intention. Intention swings a big freaking door. So small hinges swing big doors. Also with this, I invested in, it was $600 for a 2-hour webinar, and it was limited to 100 people. So this man did $60,000 in a 2-hour webinar. And my logical mind would say, that's a crazy amount of money to spend for 2 hours. Whoa, that's ridiculous. although I've spent $7,500 for 4 hours with a coach before. But I just knew that there was like something going to be in this training that was going to make the biggest difference. And it was a small hinge that swung a big door. I heard one thing. It was literally one sentence that shifted everything that I was doing with my advertising. And within 3 hours, because I was running an ad budget of $16,000 a month, so $600 for this course, I learned how to cut my lead costs in half. So I was paying like $4 a lead. And after implementing this one tiny tweak, my lead cost went down to $1.50 a lead. So every single person that was giving me their name and email address was costing me $2.50 less. And I was pulling thousands of leads a month. So do the math. A $600 course that intuitively I was called to take, even though logically I'm like, that's silly. What can you teach me? I probably already know it. I've already done a lot of research on this. One sentence saved me tens of thousands of dollars and allowed me to get my message in front of 3 times more people at way less cost. So small hinges swing big doors. So if you intuitively feel called to a course or to work with a coach, or it may not be the thing that you're investing in that you get. It may be some small hinge that makes all the difference for the long haul of your business. That also means that if you get into a course, same is true if you're reading a book, and you get the nugget and that nugget feels complete, that you don't have to consume the rest of it. You can let it go. Get the piece you want, let the rest go. Get the hinge that moves the door. Forget about checking out the rest of the hinges. You've got the hinge that already moves the door. Mission accomplished. So knowing that too, as you're making investments, that you can get what you need and forget the rest. Know when it's time to move on. Know when it's time to release the rest of the course. I'm not saying like ending coaching relationships, but it's like knowing that you don't always get what you think you're going to get and just being open to that. Okay, the next thing is don't believe everything you're told. So same thing. We look to mentors and coaches and experts and even done for you experts to tell us how to do things. And it's not always the case. So that's one thing I've learned is I've had a number of coaches. And I work so closely with my clients. I say all the time, don't believe everything I tell you. Just because it's worked for me doesn't mean it's going to work for you. If it doesn't feel in alignment, back to intention. If it's not in alignment, it's not going to work. If it doesn't feel good, it's not going to work for you, even if it's worked for thousands of people before. This is why it's so tricky when people are reverse engineering and mentoring based on what they've done. If what they're doing feels like something good for you to do, then do it. If it doesn't feel good, it's not going to work for you the same way it worked for them. And so when I talk about don't believe everything you're told, it's running everything through your own alignment. So for example, I'm on the phone last night with my copywriter and she says, we're working out all the steps that she's going to be taking and how I can use her zone of genius and this funnel I'm building out. And she says, we considered doing a tripwire. Like I really think it'd be helpful to offset your ad spend if you did a tripwire. And I'm like, no, I'm not interested in doing a tripwire. I just knew that wasn't a fit for me. She's worked with Mind Valley. She's worked with huge entrepreneurs doing really big things in the world as their copywriter. She knows her shit, but doing a tripwire for me just didn't feel right. So I'm not going to believe everything she tells me, even though she has amazing track record of helping entrepreneurs get their high impact messages out in the world. So you have to run it through your own filter. So just because you read, you're supposed to post 4 times a day, or you're supposed to, so this just happened with me. I bought a course on organic social media and I felt myself getting all graspy. I spent a whole day, I hammered out 100 posts for my Facebook page and got it all scheduled in less than 6 hours. So I can be like super productive, but I didn't even take a second to say, how does this feel for me? One of the things that they advised us to do was to share other people's content. And that was a great way to build your organic reach. And so I was searching for other people's content that felt in alignment. And it was hard to find because I have my own lens and my own perspective and the things I want to share from my heart. And so what I do, I found all of these people's stuff. It doesn't even feel right. At the end of the day, I'm exhausted because I did things that were out of alignment. I lost myself in the process. And I was crabby. I was taking it out of my family. So start picking up on what are the things that tell you're doing things that are out of alignment. What physically shows up for you? How does it show up emotionally? How does it show up in your relationships when you're doing things out of alignment? So don't believe everything you're told. And that also leads to then this one too. Break the rules, the third unconventional way to explode your profits. Break the rules. So it's the same thing. Just do it your way. If you intuitively or creatively feel called to push your own spin on something, do it. So I have a webinar funnel and everybody says it's got to do this format, and to have sales, you have to do this and you have to do this and follow this protocol and this structure. And I just said, it doesn't feel right to me. I just want to have a conversation. I want to share the information. And I believe that my audience is really smart and intelligent and intuitive. And that if they want to check this out and go deeper, that they'll just go do that. That I don't need to manipulate them. That I don't need to convince them. That I don't need to cajole them. And that's how I choose to do my webinars. Different than any other webinar that you're going to be on. And so break the rules. Do what feels right for you and in alignment to you. The fourth thing, and I've already been talking about this, follow the fun. Just have fun. Gosh, we take life and business so seriously. So in my family, we've got 3 baseball players. Okay, so baseball players, meaning I've got 2 sons who play baseball, and my husband is the varsity baseball coach. So all 3 of them have games this week. And excitingly, my husband's team just made it to the state tournament. They just broke our town record in the life of baseball here in Red Wing. So that was super exciting. But my 12-year-old is having a really hard time. They're losing a lot. They're hanging their heads. They're defeated before they even start. Just a ton of mindset stuff showing up on his team. It's like they're taking the game and the win so seriously. My 9-year-old, his game on Tuesday night, they're getting beat 19-2. They're getting killed, annihilated. And that team is dancing out on the field, having fun, rooting for each other, screaming. If they get out, they're still cheering each other on. And my 9-year-old's friend on the other team said, Tate, you know that you lost, right? And again, when we know wisdom comes from things kids say and the things kids know, he said, yeah, so we're sure having a lot of fun. Who cares about the score? So it's like in business, just have fun. Like, who cares about how many clients or how many leads, or like, why do we keep score? Why are we keeping score? Because here's what will happen. And you'll be like, I still need to pay my bills, Stacy. Like, how can I not pay attention to the money? And the thing is that when you're having fun, when you're following the alignment, when you're in that effortless, enjoyable place, you've already won. And when you've already won, the money manifests, the wealth comes because it's fun. So there's something magical that happens when we do this, and there's no logical explanation for it. We just do it, and it creates the results rather than being so serious about the results. Follow the fun. And this leads to the 5th unconventional way, which is to see the bigger picture of what the return on investment is. It's not always dollar for dollar. Now, I know we're all building businesses and we watch our bottom line and we're responsible with our finances. But at the end of the day, I know so many people, and many of you are IPEC coaches, as a lead trainer, I hear over and over again at the end of that program, of that huge investment, they say, even if I never make $1 as a coach, this investment has transformed my life. So it's knowing that when we're only, especially in business, we get so serious about business. I invested this much in this program and I've only made this much back. And we're missing the bigger picture. See the bigger picture. Because what I've seen happen over and over again for my clients is that they may not get the return on investment in that 6 months. But when we project forward a year, 2 years, the work that we did, the energetic work of coming into alignment with wealth, we shifted the energy. It hadn't materialized yet into form. That it was the spark, the catalyst that opened the floodgates, maybe 6 months later, maybe a year later, and not just financially. So I see it over and over again. I look back at my clients a year later and I'm like, look at what they are doing. Look at who they are becoming. So a lot of times as coaches, we're laying the energetic foundation that had to be laid in order for the success. It was a piece of the puzzle. It was not the whole piece, but it was simply a piece of the puzzle. So know that whatever you invest in, you're getting the piece of the puzzle that's opening the floodgates. And it might not have opened the piece that opened the floodgate to make it logical. This dollar was invested and this dollar came back. But it's just laying the framework, right? Yes, Asia. It's not about the finances all the time. It's much deeper. And we miss the whole view when we get so pigeonholed. And it's so funny. Why are we so serious about money? Like, really? I don't know. I love this idea. I love wealth consciousness. Why do we give so much power to money? It's not even real. If nothing means anything until we give it meaning, how come we attach so much meaning to money? And I want you to think about this. Here's a little wealth consciousness nugget before we wind down today. This is something that my husband and I spend a lot of time reflecting on as my business has gotten more and more successful, is we reflect back to when we first were dating, or when we bought our first home, this little home, or when we had our first child. And then we fast forward to where we are today. And then we look at each other and we're like, has all of this extra revenue really made us any happier? And it's no. So really, truly thinking and knowing that money, we hear it all the time, money doesn't buy happiness. It doesn't really. And then we'll say, oh, but it creates more experiences. And obviously I'm all for making money, but it's intentional. It's intentional money. But when you reflect back on some of the best experiences in your life, it might have been a time when you were the poorest, right? In college, when you're like eating ramen noodles and you're just going for like dollar beers because you can't afford more than 2 beers or whatever. But it was the most fun. There was something really fun. And so, yeah, we think, oh, I'll be happy and successful and I'll win. I reach a certain revenue level. You got it all right now. It's all right in front of you. These amazing, juicy, incredible moments that life gives us every single day. And when we're focused on the prize so far ahead, we miss it. We miss it. And it's right in front of us. Awesome, Claudia. Yes, it's like sometimes the less, you know what, this is a part of the big wealthy minimalist movement too. The simpler my life is, the happier I am. But sometimes money complicates things. Sometimes it's the less we have, the happier we are, because it frees us up to be present in our life when we're not worried about it. Yes, all the fun. Think about that. When we were teenagers and we had no money and our parents, it was like, man, we got creative with how to create really awesome memories. Yeah, it is fun to reflect back. Okay, so I'm going to shut down for today. But before I do, what's the big takeaway? What's the piece from this entire training that you're taking with you as you make investments in your business, as you play with your money in your business? What's the new rule that you're creating or using to define how you make investments? Thank you, everybody, for hanging out and catching this episode. And I look forward to sharing more with you in the coming weeks here, and wish you all the best. And really, my biggest hope for all of you is that you start having fun and playing with the investments that you're making, so that they truly are coming from a place of alignment. Because when you pour your intention into your money before it goes out of your wallet, that's what determines what's going to happen with it on the backside. Have an awesome rest of your week, and we'll see you soon. And that is it for today. I believe in you and your success. You are here to do amazing things. We'll see you guys. Bye.